Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network for the Vitality Revolution this summer. And we are heard across the USA on your favorite podcast channel and on YouTube. And I am talking with Dr. Shawn Weiss, and we are talking about the very first foundational pillar of wellness, and that is emotional wellness. And welcome back to the show, Dr. Shawn Weiss.
Thank you, Suzanne. I'm so excited to be here.
So we're talking about emotional wellness.
Well, being in healthcare for over 26 years and the high majority of that in senior health, you start realizing that, as we age, things look different for each person, but there's so many things that happen as we get older that affect our mindset. So how are you handling getting older? And I say that, over 50, I'm falling into that category now. I'm 54, and certainly things have changed, right? So the reason why it's first is because if you don't have your emotional or mental health in check, and in a good place, it really is going to affect all of the pillars of health that you just discussed. All of those foundational principles, really, you'll have a hard time making progress in. Right. If your mindset is not correct. Absolutely.
And so emotional wellness, as far as you define it, is really having a sense of self-esteem. It's about, setting out your desire, your intention. Is that emotional wellness?
Yeah. Your sense of self-worth, your confidence, and certainly, we each have a story, right? I know as I've gotten older, I've had a business for over 20 years. My kids are now out of the house and grown. All of these life things are going to affect how emotionally well I am. And that's going to change. And then understanding that that's okay, but you have to have a sense of self-worth. And that's going to be hard for people because let's say you 50, 60 years old, maybe you're trying to approach retirement age. Having an idea of what you want to do next, right? What happens? People think, it's over, right? I'm just going to go downhill from here. When that's just not the truth. And it doesn't matter where you are physically or financially or spiritually. You have to believe in you, and you have to believe that there are better things to come once these life changes start hitting you, right? Yes. And there's so many of those life changes as we age. Think about, like we talked about, the kids are growing. Maybe kids are getting married. Maybe you're getting grandkids. You're approaching retirement, which is like, oh, great, everybody's retired. Well, that can be a very scary thing for people. And then add to it, maybe some people really want to retire. They can't retire. So you have all kinds of things that are affecting you emotionally. All of these life events, retirement being one of them. Like I said, maybe you're not physically well, right? So are you sad? Are you depressed? Are you anxious? Are you worried? Are you angry about where you are when you get 50, 60, 70 years old? That doesn't mean you can't make a change, because when your mind is right and you feel good about yourself, good about where you've come, then you could start thinking about where you're going.
And what you're saying is when your life is off balance, you have to decide within yourself to make the shift. And that emotional shift, like you said, is the foundation of everything. So as we're talking about emotional wellness, this really triggers me to the fact of a lot of us stay in fear. We don't want to explore new things. Fear has to be, one of these things to break through. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. Because, people, let's face it, and we know a lot of people that get set in their ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And you're not, I've treated patients for 26 years, but they fall in different places in the spectrum. But, some people are like, well, you're not going to change me. This is how I am. And certainly you can't make somebody a social butterfly that's never been a social butterfly before.
Absolutely.
But if you are scared to try new things, if you feel like you just don't know where to start, now that all these things have happened, you've lost your sense of self. What are you doing for yourself? And if you're somebody who has really never prioritized that, that could be very, very difficult. Maybe you're somebody that does do that, but the idea of self-care on a daily basis, to me, starts with routine. And as I, coach and treat patients 50, 60, 70, 80 plus years old, it doesn't matter. There's always room for self-care, and you have to get into that habit. And that starts with, how do you start your day, right? When you get up in the morning. And, one of the, I've had a lot of conversations with some great experts, and, and I've had some of my patients tell me like, well, I'm retired. Like, I don't have to get up. Like, I'm going to sleep as late as I want. I'm going to do whatever I want. And that open-endedness, sometimes it's exciting and it's great, but is it what's best for us, right? You need routine. So maybe not sleeping in until 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning is great for you. It's probably not. So you want to have set times to wake in the morning, get outside, set your intentions for the day. Like I said, you hear a lot about that in younger age people, like my daughter's generation. I mean, they have this down pat, right? But the older generation, it's something that's just, it's difficult to do. But you have to take care of you. And when you take care of you, then your mind is, your mindset is correct.
And what you're saying is so true, because I'm a type A personality, right? So when I think about probably the first 45, 50 years of my life, I was just go, 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 go. And I didn't take time to check in with me. And I think one of the things that happens is that kind of catapulted into when I took care of my mom. Then it was just this whole overwhelm, and I burned out really fast. What I know now, and it's interesting now that I've gotten older, I absolutely have a quiet time in the morning. I take, I have my morning coffee. I sit, I write down, I go through, a few things of what I need to do every day. And I kind of check in with myself. And I think that's important. Who am I? How am I going to converse with people? What are my goals? How am I going to accomplish things? So all of those things are probably a lot of things as a plan. But the other thing I think that it does is it emotionally sets me to be the best of who I am in all the tasks that I have to do. Wouldn't that be part of the emotional wellness piece?
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter. Like I said, I think there's not a patient in 26 years that I haven't addressed this concept with. And that is, when you take the time to yourself, and I encourage it in the mornings. I do mine in the mornings and the evenings, but I start my day with reflection. And it's interesting. I just told somebody yesterday, I said, whatever your life stage is, whatever is going on in your world, because it's different than my world. It doesn't matter. Maybe you have some loneliness, maybe, so the sadness, if there's anger, if there's issues with relationships, if you're worried about people, like, it does not matter. There is always room for positivity, gratefulness. And if you start your day by saying, okay, what am I grateful for? What are my blessings? Right?
Yes.
And you go through that, it will offset some of the things that you have. And if not, you just go into the cycle of negativity. And that isn't going to be beneficial for you, because then you will isolate yourself. Then you're not going to want to accomplish things. You're not going to want to be motivated to move your body. You're not going to want to eat well. You're not going to want all the pillars that we talk about in the foundational principles. It starts with right here. It starts in your mind.
It's so interesting. When I worked for Tony Robbins years ago, he has a set of morning questions and evening questions. And I remember going through those. It was like, what are you most grateful for in your life right now? And I think that after practicing those for so long, I mean, I have an older dog right now. She's 12 years old, right? And I love her dearly. And I realize that my time with her is getting shorter and shorter. So every day it's like, I'm grateful. I'm grateful you're here. Thank you for another day.
Well, that sounds so simple, but it really is. And they've done so many medical studies, Suzanne, where they've done brain scans. And just the act of thinking about what you're grateful for rewires the brain to positivity. And like I said, when you start out your day with positive affirmations and feeling of self-worth and knowing that I am worthy of having good things come to me, I'm going to put, A, B, and C aside, and I'm going to feel good about my day. It's amazing what can happen. So again, the self-care piece starts with you taking time for yourself, involving other people in your life, reaching out to friends and family. And like we said, it's people have all kinds of different experiences. You might be going through so much change right now. As we age, you might be moving. Maybe you have to move in with a loved one. Maybe everybody's left. Maybe you're lonely. Maybe you're going into assisted living. And these things are traumatic and they are life-changing events. So it's easy to see how we can get off track emotionally. And that will kind of throw everything upside down.
Right.
So we start with kind of having a routine, knowing what your worth is, and that routine is going to help you roll with the punches, right?
Yeah.
Because every day is not going to be perfect.
No,
you have to be able to roll with the punches emotionally.
Yeah.
And that routine is what allows you to do that.
Yeah. And I think too, I've heard this phrase, living with an attitude of gratitude. It's like we can be thankful for everything. And I know, I've read a lot of Emma Curtis Hopkins, who's a New Thought teacher, and she talks about even in adversity, there's something to be grateful for because it gives you the opportunity to gain seeds of wisdom in your life. You have the opportunity to learn from those things. And having that attitude, it helps you frame your life to move forward in a much more constructive way and an ability to respond. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah. And if you have time, Suzanne, I want to real quick, another point I wanted to make was if I had to pick one thing to do in the mornings to help you set yourself up emotionally is get outside, because it kind of is twofold. When you get outside, even for 10 or 15 minutes in the morning, it really is uplifting. And then if you take a walk, no headphones, nothing, feel nature, look around, observe your surroundings. It's a walking meditation. That's one of the best ways to start your day.
Fabulous. And Dr. Weiss, she and I will be right back right after this. Answers for Elders thanks you for watching the Vitality Revolution. Discover a blueprint to find a whole new gear in life, new awareness, and greater potential. Subscribe and be a part of our community. Answers for Elders is the North Star of navigating senior care, featuring content to help later life go a lot easier.